Women are powerful creators. The AlignWomen podcast features female entrepreneurs, leaders, and other professional women who've demonstrated agency and innovation in their personal and professional lives. I'm your host, Amy Evans. I have authentic, intimate conversations with my guests that highlight their paths to success, their struggles and accomplishments, and the things that currently excite, motivate, and inspire them to turn their visions into reality. Welcome to the AlignWomen podcast. I'm Amy Evans, your host and the founder of AlignWomen, a leadership and networking organization for professional women. This podcast features female entrepreneurs, leaders, and other professional women who've demonstrated agency and innovation in their personal and professional lives. With me today is Nupur Shah. Nupur is a business and intellectual property attorney and the owner of Nupur Shah Law in New York. She works with startups and small business owners to set up business structures, create legal contracts and documents, and protect their products, services, creations, and other intellectual assets. She was born and raised in India, and in 2008, she moved to New York, where she now lives with her husband and her 3-year-old daughter. She's also a member of the East Coast chapter of the AlignWomen Networking Masterminds, and I'm really excited to have her on the podcast today. Welcome, Nupur.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on this podcast. I'm really excited to be here.
Absolutely. I want to hear about a piece of your story about working for a law firm and then deciding to transition into your own practice, which is an incredibly brave thing to do on many fronts. And I know that you have a business model for your practice that is non-traditional. So what motivated you to leave the big law firm world and start your own practice?
Yeah, so just a little background. Like you said, I moved here from India in 2008, and it was really my first trip out of the country. So I got married and I moved here to New York. And I thought I was done with schooling, but I had to go back to law school. So I was able to take the bar exam. So I did that for a year. And then once I graduated, I was looking for internships. And that's when I started interning at this intellectual property litigation firm. And that sort of launched my legal career. So I took the bar exam and they hired me and had to sponsor my visa because I was on, I didn't have papers. I was married to an H-1 visa holder, but I needed my own employer sponsoring my visa. And so they were willing to do that. And so I started working there and it was great. I was learning a lot. And every year I served my time there because I was working long hours and, Yeah. I don't know if you know how working in a law firm environment is so stressful. So I dealt with all of that. And along the way, I was promised partnership. And it was a small firm, right? So there was one managing partner and a couple of us attorneys. Every year, come bonus time, I was promised this partnership. And there was talk about who was going to share what percentage in the firm if we were to bring clients, what that would look like, and all of that. But nothing really happened. So I did that for a few years. And then I saw that this managing partner wasn't willing to relinquish control. And that's when I was like, I'll start looking for a new job. And I started looking for job opportunities. And then one day, thanks to the Obama administration, my visa situation changed where I no longer needed my employer to sponsor my visa. And that's when I noticed a shift where the managing attorney thought was losing control over my situation. And he started getting insecure and intimidated. And he started micromanaging me to the extent that he wanted to review every email that I sent out to clients.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it was turning into a hostile work environment. And I wasn't really comfortable working like that. And one thought I had was, if this person thinks that I'm capable enough of taking clients and providing them services on my own, then he must see something in me. And so it got to a point where I was like, I cannot do this anymore. So I took the Band-Aid and I took the plunge. I'm like, I'm quitting this job. And if I don't find a job, I'm going to start my own practice. So that was my motivation to start out on my own. And it was totally unexpected. I never imagined that I would be starting my own practice or being a business owner in this country as an immigrant.
I love that story. It makes me so happy. I love that you were able to find the positive in the situation and realize that what you were doing must have had value if the partner was treating you the way he was, and that value was something that you could bring with you because it was inherent to you and turn into your own business.
It's true. And at the time, I totally resented this person. But
sure.
Now that I look back, I'm like, I think he was meant to be in my life.
That's a wonderful perspective to have. Tell me, because you said you never imagined being a business owner, tell me what challenges you faced as a business owner. You really wear two hats, as so many entrepreneurs do, and so many people that are excellent at their profession are not necessarily excited about running a business and all the things that come with being a business owner. So what challenges have you faced on the business owner side?
So like you very rightly said, I'm a lawyer, and then I had to learn to be a business owner. And I've been trained professionally to be a lawyer, but no one taught me how to be a business person. My family, all business owners, my mom, my sister, my father. But it's different because they've, done their work. They're in India, but I am here in this setting, and I don't know what it was like to be a business person in this country. So I had a lot. As a lawyer, I had this analytical mindset and be perfect. And being an entrepreneur, I had to let go of some of that. And it was very hard to do that. And I've always been an introvert. I started this. I, got a website. I registered my entity and got my business card and letterheads and all of the fun stuff. But how was I going to get clients? It wasn't like I was going to sit at home or in my office and clients were going to walk in. I had to actually go out and let people know that, hey, I started my own practice. This is what I do. And so the first thing was, everybody says network. And kid you not, anytime someone said networking, that gave me heartburn. Like it was so stressful for me. But I had to go out and do it. So I had to break out of my shell. And that was one of my first biggest challenge. And so I would set out these goals that I'll do 2 networking events per week. And believe me, the first few times, it was super awkward. Like I was the most awkward person in the room. I didn't end up talking to anyone. And I just came away from the event after half an hour of standing around, maybe drinking, having a drink in my hand. And then I was like, no, this is not the purpose of going to networking events. But then it took practice. And I made sure I kept going to events. So then I got the practice. And I then narrowed it down to I would only talk to one person or 2 people, and that's enough, and that's okay. So networking, but also I was meeting all these people and I was getting good at it, but I didn't have a system where I would follow up, or having those kind of systems I saw the importance of that. And then I'd heard about email marketing and all these marketing jargons and terminologies being thrown around. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this is. And luckily for me, I had a few friends at the time who had started their own businesses too. And some of them were working with a business coach. So I was introduced to one, and I invested in one in my first year, and it fast tracked a lot of things for me, where I learned how to write, not like a lawyer, but I learned what email marketing is, setting up newsletters, or what is a telesummit. And I've done all of those things, but I had the support of a business coach, which helped me overcome a lot of those challenges that a new business owner would typically face.
I love that you talk about the value of coaching. There are people who have walked that walk and have had that experience, and have not only had the experience for themselves, but have worked with so many other people and other businesses that they really have compound experience that they're willing to share. And when you can find someone that you feel understands you and understands your business and what you're trying to accomplish, and you have the opportunity to work with them, I think the term used is perfect. You can fast your success by working with somebody who can both share their wisdom with you and also hold you accountable for what you need to do.
Yeah. And I was a clean slate because I didn't know anything. So I was and I was always a good student, even in school. So I was like, if something was assigned to me, I would make sure it's done. Mm-hmm. So that's what I think it was like for me. It was like doing an MBA sort of. And I executed everything that I was told to do. And I think that's why I saw results also.
Sure. And a lot of the things that are difficult are things that you just have to do to get to the other side of them, like the networking that you were talking about. Public speaking is like that too. You can rehearse it all you want alone in your office, but you're never going to get better at it until you actually go out and do it and experience the awkwardness like you were talking about in the first couple meetings. But as you continue to do it, it's not that you necessarily love it more, but it gets more comfortable.
Exactly.
And you start seeing results. And boy, there's nothing like seeing the result of getting a new client that's paying a bill to motivate you to go out and do it again, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So you do something unique at your firm. You charge fixed fees versus hourly rates to your clients. And I'd like you to talk about why you made the decision to do that and what you think the benefits are for the clients who work with you.
Sure. Small business owners, startups, and solo entrepreneurs often have limited financial resources. And even with those limited financial resources, they may want to put that towards marketing or client acquisition. Legal stuff is, really far down below their list, on their list. And a lot of entrepreneurs have this idea that our lawyers are expensive. They charge by the hour. And it gets out of hand. So there's that uncertainty. And we as entrepreneurs in general deal with a lot of uncertainty. So adding one more uncertain aspect to your business is not ideal. And I saw this when I was working at the law firm. Clients would complain about being billed for 20-minute phone conversation or an email exchange. So when I started my practice, I knew from the start that I wanted to eliminate this uncertainty that entrepreneurs face when it comes to hiring a lawyer. So I set up flat fee structures and flat fee packages for all the services that I offer. So if someone's coming to me for a trademark application, for example, they know that they're paying a flat fee which includes filing fee, any work associated with it, attorney's fees, email exchanges or phone conversations. It's all part of it. So then the client feels comfortable in asking questions, even over the phone, where they are not worried about that meter running and worrying about being billed by the minute or by the hour. Sure. So that was the idea about instituting this flat fee structure.
That totally makes sense. And taking the fear out of that hopefully removes one of the big barriers to preventive legal work, putting things in place to protect you as opposed to having to hire an attorney when something goes terribly wrong.
Yeah.
And so that's a great transition to a story you were telling me about a fashion startup that you are working with. And I was asking what you liked about working with them. And you said that they are open to taking your legal advice to put things in place so that they are protected in case something goes wrong in the future, as opposed to only having to be reactionary if something goes wrong. So talk to me about the kinds of services that you're providing for them.
Sure. So this fashion startup client, they came to me and they were a clean slate. And I love that about clients because then, they're like sponges, they absorb everything. A lot of entrepreneurs will take advice, but not act on it. Right? They'll sit with it and be like, oh, I'll deal with this at some point, at some later point. And then something bad happens, a legal issue comes in, and that's when they're like, oh, shit, I should have gotten this done, or now is the time.
Yeah.
And by then they wasted time, they wasted money. So what I liked about these clients is they came to me before they even set up their business. So they're like, we want to be handheld and you tell us what we need. Wow. So then I developed this checklist. This is what you guys need. These are the steps you need to take. These are the documents that you need. And this is what these documents should be treated as priority. So we started with that. And so the first thing we did was we set up their business structure, registered their company. They had a brand that they were working on. So we develop this whole brand strategy and trademark their brands. Then there are two friends who started this business. So we made sure that we had an operating agreement or a partnership agreement between them. Because a lot of times friends would get into business and they're great as friends, but then they quickly realize that they suck at being in business together and they cannot stand each other. But then they have nothing in writing. It was a handshake deal. So now one wants to get out, but then there are all these money issues that come in and ownership issues that come in. And then there are fights and there are disagreements. And then business is completely ruined, but a long-term friendship is ruined also. I set up their partnership agreement. What happens if one partner wants to exit or one partner dies or is incapacitated? Another thing we did was it's an online platform. So we set up their website documents, conditions, privacy policies, disclaimers, things that will protect them from consumers and visitors to the website. They also have a lot of freelancers design products and develop things for them. So we're doing independent contractor agreements with them so that we know that the IP rests with the company, with the business. Now they're bringing in an investor. So, and the investor is going to be granted equity in the company. So we're doing a share purchase agreement for that. So there's all this ongoing work and everything is well thought out, well strategized, and everything is taken into account, like unforeseen circumstances that could occur. Everything is taken into account and contracts are being drafted so that they are best protected and their business is best protected.
And how fun that you get to grow with them.
And it's a really fun, sustainable fashion brand kind of a thing. So it's really fun to see these kind of clients who are starting from nothing really. And now, even like 2 years down the line, they've established themselves as a pretty good brand.
I think it's fun that you get to take the experience that you had, starting with, you certainly didn't start with nothing. You had an education, but coming to this country and establishing a business for yourself and then being able to work with other businesses to help them establish themselves must be a fun process.
It is. And I really enjoy it. And honestly, I come from a banking and corporate law background. IP was something that I never imagined I would do. But it's like the core of what I do now. And it's really exciting to see, especially these smaller brands and these smaller designers and artists come and do something with their creativity.
So speaking of creativity and doing something with it, you have a YouTube channel. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So this YouTube channel, I launched it last year after a lot of procrastination, of course, because I'm an introvert. I do not want to be seen and be heard, but it's something that it's educational, it's informational, and it's something that I wanted to create some value for entrepreneurs and small business owners. So it basically, the intention is to take on complex legal topics and terminologies and concepts and processes and break them down into bite-sized pieces so that it's easy for entrepreneurs to understand and digest. And each video is like maybe 6 to 8 minutes long. So it's not overbearing and doesn't take up too much of your time. And it's like quick tips on what you need, what should be done. If you're a new business, what do you need? Here are the steps. When should you have these things? When should you have these legal documents? And when you should take these steps? And when you need an attorney and not really do these things yourself to avoid any kind of mistakes along the way or having to spend more money later on.
Totally makes sense. We are going to link your YouTube channel on the podcast website so that people can find it easily. Where can people connect with you if they want to perhaps work with you or find out more about what you do?
My website has a lot of information on what I do, who I work with, how I work. So you can connect with me on my website. There's a contact form. You can go to the scheduler, set up a call with me. You can email me, and I'm sure we can send out all the email and social media handles. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So feel free, whatever platform works best for you, I'm available.
All the things. Wonderful. And we'll have the links to all of those on the podcast website. Yep. Thank you so much for joining me on the AlignWomen podcast today, Nupur. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
And look for more episodes with more amazing women at AlignWomenPodcast.com.
Thanks for listening to the Align Women podcast. You can find more episodes with more amazing women at AlignWomenPodcast.com. and visit alignwomen.org to learn more about our leadership and networking organization. This is Amy Evans, and you've been listening to the Align Women podcast.